This week, the HPT crowns a champion from the River City Casino in St. Louis, Missouri. This amazing TV final table started with 6. Now we continue with 3 players left, vying for the top prize of almost $122,000. 2 young pros are looking for their first big score, and they take on a man who's been on poker's biggest stage, world champion and HPT champion Greg Fossilman Raymer. Will these 2 players representing the next generation of poker be able to overcome Raymer's experience and chip lead? Or will the Fossilman school the young guns and become only the second 2-time champion? Life-changing money and history are on the line as we play down to our new HPT champion. This is the HPT.
They come from all walks of life, each with a story to tell. All they need is a chip and a chair. It's an open casting call for those who love the game. This ain't your weekend home game. This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face, you with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game, talk trash all you want. To me it's all the same, you won't leave with much when you come in second place. I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gon' cry to your mama cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello and welcome back to River City Casino here in St. Louis, Missouri, where this week on the HPT we're crowning our newest champion. I'm Chris Hansen, and the man to my left is a guy who had a nice run of the craps table last night. I mean, if his wife is watching, it's just an early night steak dinner, went to bed, no big deal. He is Fred Bevel.
You know, we get the best seats in the house for these final tables, and this one has been a real nail-biter. One of my favorite people we see on the tour, Stan Jablowski, came to the final table second in chips. But just a few hands into this final table, he lost a huge hand to Greg Raymer, leaving him decimated. Then the very next hand, he put all his chips in the middle and ran into Alana's wired aces. Stan left in a disappointing 6th place with just under $24,000.
Then, a little bit later, Alana struck again at this final table. This time, her victim was Penelope. Penelope flopped an open-ended straight draw against Alana's wired 7s. Unfortunately, the turn in river brought bricks, sending Penelope to the rail in 5th place. She left with just under 30 grand.
Another familiar face and a friend of the HPT, Sean Roberts, made the trip to St. Louis from his home in Springfield, Missouri, after taking a short break from the game. He came to the final table as one of the middle stacks and had a roller coaster of a final table. Finally, Sean locked horns with the Fossil Man, and after betting every street in the hand, Sean put it all in on the river, only to run into Greg's monster. And he left with almost $38,000.
Great finish, I hope, tonight at our final table. I wonder if it's going to end with Greg Raymer being the second 2-time HPT champion. He started as a short stack, he's the big stack now. Let's meet the players at this final table and then get back to the action.
My name is Alana. My last name is Tashinina, and I'm originally from Ukraine, the beautiful city named Lviv, and I play poker for a living. The HPT is my first big tournament in my life. I've been playing a couple of small tournaments, and sometimes I made it pretty well, but the HPT is like my first really big, and important tournament in my life.
I'm Greg Fossilman Raymer, and I'm back at the HPT final table. Well, I'm not gonna take it on in the sense of I have a plan right now and this is it. And it's not even like there's a plan A and then a plan B and so on. I'm gonna have to see how they're playing. I'm gonna have to see how, are they playing tight, some of them, to try to move up a few spots and lock in some more money? If I see that happening, well then yes, I have to bully those players and be more aggressive with them.
My name's Ryan Hickey. I'm a parts manager at a security company. I'm from Glenview, Illinois. Well, I am the chip leader, but everyone's real close. I got some room to play. I got about, I think, 70, 80 big blinds. So I can play around, I can wait a little bit. I can also, make some moves early. Some good players at the table, obviously with Greg Raymer there. got to watch out for him, but I'm ready.
The prize money for tonight, $121,000 to our newest HPT champion. First person to leave River City tonight goes home with $43,000 and change.
A big payday for any one of these players, and here is the updated chip count. As we left off from last week, Greg Raymer is the chip leader. Hot on his heels is Ryan. Alana is the short stack right now, but still has quite a bit of chips with 28 big blinds in her stack.
All right, let's get to the final table and crown our newest HPT champion. Blinds begin tonight at $40,000 and $80,000 with a $10,000 chip ante.
Alana has the button in three-handed. That is first to act pre-flop. She's got 8 jack offsuit.
But over half the hands I saw her show down were aces.
Alana is 21 years old, lives right here in St. Louis, originally from the Ukraine. There's a couple of friends watching her on the rail today. And it looks like she's ready to bet on the button.
Queen 5.
Oh, she fooled you. She's going to fold her button. Action now moves over to Greg Raymer.
You might recognize Greg from a little thing called the World Series of Poker main event. Yeah, he won that.
He's also won an HPT event down in New Mexico not too long ago, and he might become only the second man in our history to win more than one HPT event.
And here we go. The flop between Greg and Ryan is King 7-10 Rainbow.
Ryan pairs his 7, giving him the best hand. And he is going to bet $100,000 into the world champ.
Queen's no good, huh?
And Greg just told a bit of a fib.
Oh, no,
Wait a second. Greg didn't have a queen in his hand.
Look at that. I'm going to have to call him on that one next time we have dinner together.
All right. Ryan Hickey is first to act. He's 21 as well. He's from Northbrook, Illinois.
He's got the best drawing hand in poker on the button, ace-king. And he is going to do what you're supposed to do. He's going to make it $205,000 to go. Action moves over to Alana. Alana has Queen Jack offsuit.
Alana said there were no nerves at all coming to this final table, saying no matter where she went out, 6th place or above was the biggest cash she had ever had in poker. So she feels like right now she's playing with house money.
It's a good mindset to be in when you're at a final table for almost $122,000. And she's not going anywhere with the Queen Jack. She is going to flat call this raise from Ryan. And now we move over to Greg Raymer, who's getting Walmart prices to see a flop.
And he's got King 7 of clubs. Notice that the champ is wearing his World Series of Poker bracelet today at our final table. And you will also notice the glasses go on whenever he gets involved in a pot. And here we go. All three players will see the flop together. It is 7-6-9.
Well, Greg pulls ahead in the hand. He has paired the 7.
Alana's first to act.
Check. Not a good spot to bet. Good job, Alana. She's going to check. Great spot to bet if you're Greg Raymer. And Greg is going to bet, makes it $305,000 to call.
Back to Ryan, our original raiser pre-flop. And this is tons of fun when you have ace-king. I raised it pre-flop. I got 2 callers. I missed the flop, and now I've already been bet into.
Well, it doesn't look like Ryan is too afraid of that bet from Greg. It looks like he's stacking some raisin chips there. Be careful, young man. He's going to do it. He re-raises it to $675,000.
675.
And this should get Alana to fold.
So raise the right is 675,000.
And there they go. Now back over to Greg. Chris, what do you think of this situation?
Back to Mr. Raymer.
Well, I think that Greg is putting Ryan on a hand right now. That's one of the things that the elite players do. It's not so much what they have. They can look into your soul and figure out what you have.
Well, Greg did outflop Ryan, pairing the 7. Question going through Greg's mind now is, did he raise pre-flop with pocket 10s or jacks or queens? It looks like Greg might have him on the ace-king. He is going to call.
That is a call. Greg makes the call.
Notice Greg, whenever he's in a hand with somebody, he looks at them the whole way.
Heart, please.
He'll look at the turn when he needs to.
Here comes the turn. It's a queen. And Greg is going to check.
Greg checks.
600.
600,000.
600,000 is the bet.
And Ryan is not
Wow.
slowing down. Fires 600,000 on the turn.
I'm pretty sure that Greg was thinking if he had something, he probably wasn't going to be betting the turn. But he did bet the turn after Greg checked.
Greg is not believing the young man. He is going to flat him again. And this pot has quickly gone over $3 million in chips.
Okay, I'm going to sit back and just watch. I don't even want to speculate as to what might be going on here. Obviously, Greg thinks that his pair of 7s is good. It is an 8 of diamonds, and Greg is first to act. He checks again.
What a horrible river card. Puts 4 to a straight on the board. And look at this. Ryan has gone all in on the river.
I don't want to watch.
I don't know if Greg believed his story before, but he might believe it now. Ryan is fired on every single street, and there you go. Greg does lay down the best hand, and Ryan Hickey is showing that he is playing beyond his years against the world champion.
Well, if Ryan was nervous when he sat down to this final table, I'm guessing the nerves are pretty much gone, and he feels very confident. You got to be confident at the poker table to pull off a move like that.
I have a suggestion for our next season. We do heart monitors on these players. I want to see what Ryan's pulse is right now.
I'll give you a hint. It's probably pushing 2 bills. And Raymer is going to raise to start this hand with 3-5 offsuit. He makes it 170,000. Over to Alana.
Alana with ace-jack. Probably not going anywhere.
We raise.
Yeah, she is crazy daisy. Makes it 510,000 to go. And I can't imagine Greg Raymer doing a whole lot with 3-5 and that kind of a bet. Yep, he's going to fold.
He's doing one thing, and that would be folding. More poker when we come back. Welcome back to the HPT in St. Louis, Missouri. We are at River City Casino with Fred Bevel. I'm Chris Hansen. Let's take a look at our updated chip count. And as you can see, Ryan, with that big pot he just won moments ago off of Greg, has extended his chip lead.
Yeah, you can see the swing there. Ryan up over 1.2 million since we last checked in. Greg down about 1.3 million since we last checked in. Alana holding steady as a short stack, but still has plenty of big blinds left. All kinds of room to play here.
6-10 offsuit for Greg here. He will fold.
Greg folds.
Queen 3 in the small blind for Ryan.
And Ryan is going to raise it up, makes it 190,000 to go. We've seen Alana does not like to fold her big blind.
190.
And this certainly isn't a hand to lay down to.
190.
Queen 9 suited. Worthy of a defend, I think.
Absolutely three-handed. Would be nothing wrong with that play. And she will make the call.
And then some.
Blind versus blind going to the flop. Two 21-year-olds.
kids these days.
I tell you.
And here we go. The flop is 8, King 8.
Both players missed this flop. Right now, Alana the best with Queen 9.
Ryan checks over to Alana.
And Alana's going to check as well.
Check, check.
Turn, please. It's a 10.
Well, the 10 gives Alana a gut shot straight draw, but Ryan, he's going to bet with just Queen high, makes it 200,000. And that's going to be good enough for Ryan. Alana's going to lay it down.
10-8 any good?
Yeah, it might have been.
And Ryan, boy, he's making great calls, putting the pressure on people, making them lay down the best hand.
Seems like a winning combination to me.
This time Alana looks down at connecting cards. She folds.
Over to Greg with Jack 8. Greg won earlier this season on the HPT at Route 66 Casino in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
We'll be seeing Greg along with all the champions here in Season 8 in just a little while at the Belterra Casino Resort Hotel in Florence, Indiana for the Championship Open.
There's nothing like the smell of a Championship Open.
It's going to be big.
Well, Greg makes it $170,000 with Jack 8, and now we're to our big stack. Ryan Hickey, who's a parts manager. Not sure what parts he's managing or which parts he's managing, but he does make the call. I'd like to manage all the big parts, not so much the small ones. Here comes the flop. It is 7 ace ace.
Great flop for Ryan. He's flopped trip aces. Unfortunately, Greg has absolutely nothing here, but that's not going to stop him from throwing out a little tickler bet, 100,000.
You mean a little tickler bet like this?
Yeah, hey,
Whoa.
easy, hands to yourself.
And Ryan makes it $250,000. That will probably cut Greg off from the rest of this hand.
I don't know. If I was Ryan, I might have slow played that a little bit more. But what do I know? Greg's giving him action.
Absolutely. Has put me in the what do I know boat as well. Give me an oar. And here comes the turn. It is a 5 of hearts. And Greg is going to be first to act, drawing dead, by the way, here on the turn. Greg checks, and now to Ryan.
And Ryan just keeps full steam ahead on every street.
Ryan makes a bet.
Here comes another bet of 405,000, and that should do it. I don't see Greg calling this turn.
Remember, Fred, we're aboard the USS What Do We Know?
That's true, and it's sinking.
Greg Raymer folds. Ryan wins the hand.
But we were right on that one. Greg is going to lay it down.
Ryan shows his ace, and he is going to show us that he has a very large chip lead. Blind still at $40,080 with that 10K ante, again playing for $122,000 tonight.
Greg Raymer peels back the pocket aces. He'll be first to act in this hand. Obviously, a raise is coming.
$170,000. Nothing unusual about that raise, not setting off any alarms for the rest of the table.
What he really wants is this young man to come at him like a bull in a china closet. Ace 10 might be the hand that he does it with. And he is going to re-raise it, makes it $540,000.
Quick look at Greg Raymer. That's his happy face. There it is. You can now see it.
Now here's the dilemma. Do you call pre-flop or do you re-raise pre-flop? Ryan's aggressive style and firing on every street has served him well. He's gotten players to lay down the best hand. But right now he is walking into a whole world of trouble if he continues that style.
I feel a flat call coming.
How about a min raise?
Come on.
Wow. Well, things got ugly quickly.
What was the re-raise to?
Greg raised. Ryan moved it all in. Greg, of course, quickly called.
All in.
And right now, Greg Raymer is in a great spot to do two things, Fred. Double up and cripple the guy who had the chip lead.
Well, I just said it a second ago. Ryan's style's been serving him well, but it's this kind of style that can get you into trouble.
Unbelievable.
And right now, Ryan's in a whole heap of trouble.
Going up against ace-10 of Ryan.
All right, here we go. Something magical for Ryan. The flop is queen, deuce, queen.
I normally ask for the sweat card, but I don't mind missing it this time.
Greg's happy to see blanks come on the turn in the river.
And here we go on the turn. It is an 8, and that's going to do it. Ryan's drawing dead on the river, and the Fossil Man has just doubled up through the chip leader.
River card.
Alrighty here. Of course.
More play from our final table, and we return in a moment on the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT with Fred Bevel. I'm Chris Hansen. Let's get back to our final table. You know, that's the great thing about poker, Fred, is that I'm probably never going to get to play with Tiger Woods ever on the golf course. But if I got the money, I can sit down, whether I want it or not, I can sit down and play with Greg Raymer at any of these events.
Well, you do, and you might end up in this situation. Greg Raymer with over half the chips in play. Alana's still the short stack right now, but both Alana and Ryan, plenty of room to play. No need to panic. A lot of poker left to go here.
Alana folds over to Greg, queen 9 offsuit in the small blind. He will call.
Now it's Jack 10 offsuit for Ryan. He's going to check his option. Deja vu. These two guys going at it again.
You see that? Greg's looking right at you, Fred. He's looking into your soul.
He knows it too.
Here we go. The flop is 10 king 10.
Well, great flop for Ryan. He's got trip 10s. Greg has a whole lot of nothing.
They both check, so here comes the turn. It's a 7 of hearts.
And with that turn card, Greg is now drawing dead in this hand.
And here comes the river. It's a 3. Greg's first act, and he will check.
And Ryan was just hoping Greg would give him some action in this hand. Greg did not. Now Ryan's trying to get a little value. Bets 200 on the river. It looks like Greg's going to pay him off. He does, and Ryan's going to turn over the winning hand and gives just a little bit of chips back to the youngster.
Not even my third, my second guess.
I believe that's what they call just paying for the information. Let's just see what this kid's up to.
Blinds continuing on at 40 and 80,000 with a 10,000 chip ante. Greg will be first to act here on the button pre-flop. He's got 5-8 of clubs.
Makes it 170,000. You might notice the same exact raises when he had pocket aces. For those of you learning the game at home.
Ryan makes the call with 10 jack suited. Alana's going to get out of the way. And once again, it's the Ryan and Greg show.
Alana's been fairly quiet recently. I think maybe she's letting Ryan and Greg figure things out at the other end. Here comes the flop. It's 8, deuce, 10 with a couple of diamonds.
Well, Greg flops middle pair with the 8. Ryan flops top pair with a 10. Three-handed game. Whenever you get a piece of it, it can be pretty good.
Ryan bets 250,000 over to the Fossil Man, who still, by the way, has the same fossils when he started this main event. He only gets rid of that when somebody knocks him out. He autographs it and gives it to him as a memento of their achievement.
And Greg is going to make the call from Ryan here.
Go ahead and see the turn.
And here comes the turn. It's a king.
Ryan's going to check over back. Right?
That turn doesn't help either of these players. Right now, Ryan ahead with a pair of tens. He checks over to Greg. Greg quickly checks behind.
And the river's a 4. Ryan checks, Greg checks. And Ryan is going to win 2 pots in a row off of Greg.
You see, Ryan was playing a little snake bit on that hand. Wasn't sure if he should bet the river for value or if he was betting into a monster. Either way, a little pot's just as good as a big pot.
All right, action first on Alana again on the button. And she looks down to King Jack. Finally now she's going to get involved.
One thing I like about the play we've seen here at River City, Chris, not a lot of limping going on. These players are raising when they enter the pot. Alana's going to make it $260,000 to go. Here's Greg with wired ducks.
And Deuces will try to see a flop. He calls out of the small blind, now to the big blind with Ryan Hickey. Ryan will fold, and so now it's Greg and Alana. I think we know what Greg is looking for on this flop. The only great thing about deuces is when they set up. The flop is ace 7-4.
Well, both players missed the flop, and ironically enough, deuces are the best hand right now. Let's see if Alana can fire a continuation bet after Greg checked to her. She does not. She checks behind.
And here comes the turn. It's a 10. Raymer first to act.
And still no help for either of these players. Greg might bet here, see if those deuces are any good, and that's exactly what he does. He's going to fire $300,000.
Well, Alana did pick up a gut shot straight draw on the turn, but right now sitting with just king high and an ace on the board. I'm terrible. I always figure I'm beat. I just always in my mind I think I am beat. I have to talk myself out of being beat every time I play.
That's because of your marriage. Well, is Alana going to call $300,000 to see a river?
You have the least experienced poker player taking on the most experienced poker player at this final table, and Alana is going to correctly make the fold. And some chips moving Greg Raymer's way. More poker from our final table here at River City when we come back. Thanks for coming back to the HPT with Fred Bevel. I'm Chris Hansen. It's time for our Pro Tip of the Week with 13-time World Series of Poker bracelet winner Phil Hellmuth. Tonight, Phil talks about something that he never is, spotting the fish at your table.
Okay, they've asked me to do a tip on spotting the fish at the table. One thing I learned is the fish at the table is usually some guy who's made a lot more money than you have in life and knows a lot more than you do. And so when my friends would be talking about this guy's a fish, I'd say, are you crazy? You're a professional poker player. This guy made like $50 million in business. Don't underestimate him. And so I don't like to think in terms of fish. There are players that are probably losing players in the long run, but they're always dangerous. And if you underestimate them, you're in trouble. One philosophy that I kind of like, that I learned from a famous player, a Korean player named Jimmy. And he told me that, he doesn't want to give the live players too much action because the minute that they're winning, they play better, and then they're harder to beat. So he would kind of just show them the best hand.
Let's take a look at our chip count as we return to our final table. Greg Raymer is approaching the 5 million chip mark. He's got 50% of the chips in play, and Alana has been the short stack since we went from 4 players down to 3. She's just holding on here, Freddie.
Well, now she's sitting with only 16 big blinds. It's getting almost desperation mode for Alana. She's going to have to make a move quickly here.
Blinds are up to 50 and 100,000 with a 10K ante.
6-jack offsuit for Mr. Raymer will go into the muck. Over to Ryan.
And limps in with ace deuce. And now to Alana. Jack 8.
She will happily check her option.
And here's the flop. It's 3 Jack deuce. Both players have a little bit of something on this flop. Ryan bets 110,000 with his pair of deuces over to Alana on her top pair.
I don't see many people understand that reference.
Alana, we haven't seen her with a hand to play with
It's an inside joke.
in some time here. Now she's sitting with top pair. Let's see if she just flat calls this or raises. She chooses the calling option.
Let's go ahead and see the turn card, please.
And the turn is a king. Ryan first acts again and betting again, 210,000.
And Alana looks like she still has faith in that jack. She is going to call again.
And now as we get close to 1 million chips in this pot, the river, it's a 5. Ryan checks. This is where Alana should be checking behind. She does. And she is going to flip over and see a winner.
Jack 8 for Alana. She's going to win the hand with
Much needed pot going to Alana's stack. Little under 900,000.
Now I know I mucked my jacks.
has moved to Alana. She'll be first back. Great position.
All right, Alana first to go. Queen 10 offsuit. Talk about the intimidation factor. If you are Alana, first of all, you're the only female that's left at this final table. We've had female champions before, so, she doesn't have that she's playing against. But talk about the pressure of playing against Greg Raymer at this final table.
I think any nerves these people had playing Greg Raymer are gone now. They've been with him for several hours now. They've got a feel for him. I think, if anything, they're just enjoying it at this point. Alana makes it 250,000 to go. And Greg really makes it enjoyable to play against him at the poker table. He's a great guy, loves to chat it up. Will even give some advice over the poker table about a person's game.
And Greg is re-raising Alana's bet. He makes it 500,000. Action's now over to Ryan. I think you bring up a good point. There are some pros that we've encountered over the years that don't make you feel real comfortable. Not a slight against them, it's just how they play. Greg's style is not confrontational in the slightest. Very accommodating at the poker table.
Well, and I think that's part of Greg's strategy, actually. I think the more somebody opens up to him, the more he gets to know him, and the more ways he can figure out what they might be doing when they're in a hand together.
And the more ways he can raise with ace deuce and take down a pot. Line still at 50 and 100,000. $122,000 to our champ here tonight at River City in St. Louis, Missouri. No fun trips to the Gateway Arch or the brewery this time. Last time Phil Hellmuth had us running around like chickens with our heads cut off.
I did go to a Cardinals game this week, though. That was a good time. Ryan's going to make it 200 to go with 4 deuce.
Over to Alana. Alana with 5-8 offsuit.
Alana very calculating, doesn't make her moves quickly. A lot of people would like to see a shot clock brought into poker. I don't know if I agree with that so much.
Part of the game has some nuances like that where, taking your time, being very deliberate is part of a lot of people's strategy. Flop is ace 7-4.
Well, Alana's got a gut shot straight draw. Ryan has paired the 4. Ryan bets, makes it 160,000 to go. I can see a shot clock maybe round 1 or 2 of the tournament when you don't need to tank for 5 minutes on a 200 chip pot. But maybe at the final table when you're really down to the nitty-gritty of 122,000 on the line, I say give the players all the time they need.
How about tonight when you want to get a little extra face time? I want to be on TV just a little bit more. Let me think this over if you don't mind.
We have seen that.
And Alana is going to fold, and Ryan wins a pot. And we've got more poker from River City when we come back. Welcome back to River City Casino in St. Louis, Missouri. This week's stop on the HPT. We asked our players, of all the great memories you've made this weekend, what was the best?
The hand that got me to the final table was when I had pocket aces. I raised and Dennis Phillips was on my left. He went all in with his short stack. It was just one of those things where I was able to win the hand and got him out of the game. I was so sorry for it because he was just being so nice to me.
Well, the experience this week is pretty awesome. It was up and down, very long 2 days. Drove up here Saturday morning, sorry, it's been day 3 now. Saturday morning at about 8 o'clock, drove here 5 hours from Chicago. You know, got real low in chips, but you know, everyone's real nice around here. So even when I was low, able to not go on tilt, stay positive. Ended up getting back up, getting a healthy chip stack pretty much the whole way. I think tournament's really well run, and we look forward to playing it again.
Well, here is the updated chip count. Not much has changed since the last time we checked things out. Alana is still our short stack, and Greg and Ryan have the most chips at this final table.
Greg with a little over half the chips in play. Alana with just 15 big blinds. Hopefully she can get some traction here and make a move for the championship.
Action is on Ryan. And he's got pocket eights.
That's a monster in a three-handed game.
And Ryan's going to raise it up. He makes it $275,000.
Action moving over to Alana now. She's got Queen 10 offsuit. Tough to not see a flop with Queen 10 offsuit in a three-handed game, but she is going to choose wisely and lay it down.
And now over to Greg with 6-5 offsuit out of the big blind. And he will fold. So Ryan's pocket eights will face no opposition. He'll take down the blinds and antes.
Pretty big hand when you're looking at my cards. I don't know if it just pulled off. Maybe it doesn't stick to this fabric.
Blind still at 50 and 100,000 with a 10K ante. Alana with ace-6 offsuit. And Alana's raising it up. Here we go to 250,000.
Action now over to Greg Raymer. He's got King 10 offsuit. And he's taking a look down at Alana's stack there. Somewhere around the 1.3 million range.
And Greg is raising it up with King 10. He makes it 550,000. 550,000 is the raise, and we're back to Alana, 300,000 to call with ace-6.
Alana has faced the pressure of Greg Raymer before at this final table, and she stood up to it.
Again, taking your time, not making any quick decisions.
I'm all in. All in.
Whoa, she is going to get them all in the middle here with ace-6.
And Greg makes the call with King 10.
Raise to fold.
So Alana's going to be ahead going to the flop with her tournament life on the line.
That fly, you didn't feel that?
I know, but I
Greg willing to gamble here and try to knock the short stack out and get us to heads up.
All of a sudden, you know? I'm like, is that going to make her call or
When we
fold?
started this final table, Greg had to go runner to stay alive with his tournament life on the line. I thought that was risky. This isn't as risky, but still, Fred, we're playing for almost $3 million in chips in this pot.
Well-lit table and buzzes around players all day long.
Here's the flop. It's Queen, Jack, Ace.
What a flop for Greg. He has flopped the Stone Cold Nizzle, the Broadway straight. And Alana, with just a pair of aces, is going to hope for running cards to boat up.
Here comes the turn. It is a 4 of spades, and that's going to do it. Alana is drawing dead on the river, and Greg Raymer has got himself heads up for another HPT championship.
Yeah, I was a little bit stressed, but right now I just really glad that I make it, and players were really great, and I feel the luckiest person in the world. That's my first big tournament, and I'm really glad that I make it.
Don't go anywhere. Heads Up Poker begins when we return. Thanks for coming back to the HPT with Fred Bevel. I'm Chris Hansen. All right, Fred, we are heads up for an HPT championship, but not just any championship for Greg Raymer. Now, I know he will say that his World Series of Poker victory, obviously his biggest feat in poker. But Fred, joining a very elite club that right now only has one member, could be a second person. Greg is looking to become only the second person ever to win 2 HPT events. Let's get to Heads Up Poker right now.
And as we begin Heads Up, Greg is enjoying a little more than a 2-to-1 chip advantage over Ryan. But Chris, everybody knows that in Heads Up, no limit Texas Hold'em, momentum can switch on a dime.
Greg Raymer playing for his second win this season on the HPT, and his last win on the HPT was actually the biggest cash win he had had since he won the World Series of Poker main event. This one would be even bigger than that.
Ryan Hickey peels back pocket queens. What a hand to start Heads Up.
He's going to raise it to $300,000. And now over to Greg Raymer. Moved over to seat number 2. And pocket kings for Greg.
Greg goes all in. Ryan quickly calls. And you can see Ryan's frustration. How does he always have one better than me?
I knew you were strong. I just hoped it wasn't aces when you snap called, but I didn't imagine I was going to get such a great... It's a cold deck even if I lose. It's a cold deck if he wins. It's a cold deck if I win.
Come on, pop a queen one time.
All right, so again,
Greg Raymer looking to join Jeremy Dresch as the only 2-time HPT champion in our history, but he's got to fade a queen to do it.
One time, let's go.
And here we go. The flop is 6, 4, 9. Only a queen will save Ryan Hickey.
Queen of clubs.
The turn is a 10.
Only 2 cards left in the deck that can help Ryan, and he's hoping it's the second one off the top of the deck. A queen and only a queen.
Come on, queen of clubs.
The river is a jack, and that will do it. Congratulations to Greg Fossil Man Raymer,
Thank you. I ran
the second 2-time HPT champion.
that ace-king hand.
It's a cooler. You come into this tournament, you're seeing Dennis Phillips and Greg Raymer in this tournament, and I end up heads up with one of them, to take it all down. Running the kings, I have queens, can't really be upset. I lost really 2 hands at the final table. He had aces one hand, kings the other. What are you gonna do? Yeah, definitely played out of my mind this week. Turned 21 a month ago, first big tournament I played. Got to be happy with over 60,000 in cash. So, hats off to Greg. He's a great player.
I'm pretty sure when we took a short break getting ready for Heads Up Poker, Ryan thought he was going to have a lot more hands against Greg Raymer to try to take this thing down. Unfortunately, it didn't play out that way. Cold deck hit Ryan right in the forehead. All right, let's go back down to the floor to hear from the Fossil Man about his second HPT championship.
How can you not feel good? $122,000, another title, and then here in like my, second or third hometown, however you want to do your math, St. Louis. Went to high school here, graduated Parkway South High School, got my bachelor's degree, just hour and a half, 2 hours down the road, University of Missouri at Rolla. So it's a little bit like coming home, and now I get to go back home to my wife and daughter in North Carolina with 6 figures of other people's money. I can make it my goal to win more HPT titles by playing more HPT events. Now that's something I can realistically do and make it a lot more likely to happen.
Well, we know that Greg always has a fossil with him at the final table. Whenever he's playing, someone knocks him out, he gives him the fossil. Tonight, that fossil is going home with Greg Raymer, as he is our last man standing and now becomes only the second person to win 2 HPT titles. Now, do you think you've got what it takes to sit at our final table and walk away with unreal cash? Well, then log on to hptpoker.com where you can find out about our upcoming events. For James Larson and Fred Bevel, I'm Chris Hansen. We'll see you next time right here on the HPT.